Good afternoon. I'm Julie Broughton. It is 12:30. This is Take 6. We're so happy you're spending a little time with us today. This is when we get a chance outside of our typical newscast time to talk about things we are working on here at News 6 and those big stories. Of course, a lot of you are dealing with some rain out there right now. We will have the very latest on your forecast for you coming up in just a moment. But first, it is primary election day across all of Florida, and we have you covered on air and online. Now, if you haven't headed out to vote yet and you're wondering where you vote, or maybe looking at what's on the ballot in your area or where some of the candidates stand on issues that are important to you, we have all of that for you, county by county information on clickorlando.com/results 2024. That is a full election guide, so make sure you check that out before you head out to vote. We have reporters all across Central Florida following the big races, and one of those is the Democratic primary for the Osceola County Sheriff. Incumbent Marcos Lopez is up on the ballot with 4 other Democrats, and that is where we find News 6's Erik von Ancken following this race. And Erik, there has been a lot of talk about this particular race and a lot of talk really about the Osceola County Sheriff's Office over the last several months.
Hey, Julie, you are correct, which is why we are focusing much of our resources on this race this afternoon and this evening. Part of those resources are sitting next to me. So this is photojournalist Destiny Santana, who's making sure that we get there safely
Yes.
while I blab with you with my computer on my lap. So I actually just got a text message from Sheriff Marcos Lopez. We've been going back and forth for most of the morning about where to try and get together, because his plan, Julie, is to get in as much last-minute campaigning as he possibly can. So you might be saying to yourself, well, he's the incumbent in this race. Does he really need to campaign right up until the last minute? Obviously, that's a question that he can answer, but observers might say you just posted those pictures there, 4 other people in this race, one of whom is a former commander at the sheriff's office. One person, Wiley Black, worked right under the sheriff. He was actually fired recently after an investigation, and he decided to jump into this race. A lot of people are watching him. They think that he has a decent shot. On the bottom left there is former Sheriff Russ Gibson. Remember, he was the sheriff for a long time at the Osceola County Sheriff's Office. Marcos Lopez beat him 4 years ago in the primary, and now he's trying to come back to try and take his old job back. Interestingly enough, at least some of the polling that I've seen, Sheriff Gibson is not doing as well as Wiley Black, specifically, even though you would think that Russ Gibson has the name recognition. Wiley Black seems to be doing well, perhaps because the sheriff has had some challenges. Sheriff Lopez, ever since his administration started 4 years ago, to get up to speed, to get up and running. He made a lot of great changes, but a lot of controversy has come his way, including a shooting, remember, outside the Target there in Osceola County, where his deputies who were in training ended up opening a fire on some young men who were shoplifting. The sheriff took some heat for how that was handled. And also there was a situation where little Maddie Soda, remember the 13-year-old who investigators suspect was killed by her mother's boyfriend, who never made it to school that day. Remember, there was a picture allegedly of her body that was posted on the sheriff's office website page. The sheriff took some heat for some of the words that he said afterwards, first claiming that it wasn't the body, and then he was reprimanded for it. So, Julie, a lot of twists and turns. The question is, ultimately, will Marcos Lopez be able to survive the controversy that has followed him over the past 4 years with these 4 challengers? The other challengers, the young lady on the right, former, I believe it's military veteran. She has some experience in law enforcement. And another gentleman who is also running against the sheriff that people do not expect to pose much of a challenge.
And Erik, so whoever takes it today will then in November go against the Republican candidate for sheriff, correct?
Correct. Yes, there is only one Republican challenger. And is that a big challenge? Likely not, Julie, because, of course, Osceola leans heavily Democrat. It's only about I want to say a 10 to 15% difference between registered Democrats and registered Republicans at any given time. So it's not a huge gap, but it is enough to generally give the Democratic candidate in Osceola County an edge and typically the win.
All right, Erik. So, where will we see you this afternoon? Where are you headed? What's your
Right
secret
now,
location?
Destiny, secret location. Not today, not so secret.
Right.
Just kind of all over the place. And I'll tell you this: we're starting early. Destiny and I hopped in the car because we need to get to Osceola County because we're trying. Our plan is to try and interview as many of these candidates as possible. So the sheriff is meeting us, Destiny, at the Poinciana Library. So in 34 minutes, I'm sorry, 53 minutes and 34 miles, we expect to be at the Poinciana Library to catch up with Sheriff Lopez. Right after that, we're trying to grab Sheriff Gibson, former Sheriff Gibson, and then Wiley Black before we see again on TV, Julie, at 5 o'clock with an update with what these candidates are saying, how they're feeling, and what they're doing in the last minute.
All right. Well, I know you guys have a lot of work, and I imagine you have a lot of phone calls to be making while Destiny is driving you safely to Osceola County. So we will let you get to it. Thank you so much for taking time out. I know Election Day is always a busy day for those of you out reporting. So thank you so much. We'll see you on TV at
Thank
5.
you. Bye bye.
And a reminder that we do have you covered on air, online, and we have special election coverage beginning tonight at 7 o'clock. That will be on News 6 as well as News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. So we have live coverage as all the results come in. So make sure you stick around with us. Now, another big story, we are following the Lake Mary All-Stars. All of Central Florida so invested in this team. They are at the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And last night they had their first loss, but they're not out of it yet. It's double elimination. So they are still in it. We believe. News 6 anchor Justin Warmoth is covering all this for us in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. We're going to check in with him right after a short break. Welcome back to Take 6. I'm Julie Broughton. It is 12:39. One of our favorite stories that we are all so invested in. The Lake Mary All-Stars. They are at the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. News 6 anchor Justin Warmoth is there. And Justin, we've so been enjoying your coverage. Last night didn't quite go the way we wanted it to, but they're not out of it. They play again tonight. So break down what we got going on up there.
Yeah, Julie, it was heartbreaking, but then you have to turn the page, and they lost against a team from Texas. That team is good, and Lake Mary's really good as well. Just wasn't their night. That happens. It's sports. That good news is that yes, it is double elimination, and they really don't have time to dwell on last night's loss because they are playing tonight against a team from Staten Island, New York. These are some highlights from the game. The pitcher on Texas was really good. He had 10 strikeouts, only gave up 3 hits, 1 run, 1 hit after the first inning. He just kind of had our number last night. I think it was more so he was on fire as opposed to we were sort of in a slump. So turn the page. We're going to be back at it. Now, last night's game was a big one. If you win that one, it kind of sets you up. It puts you in the semifinals for the USA bracket for the Little League World Series. Now they have to win 3 games in 3 days to make it to essentially the spot where they could have made it last game. But it doesn't matter. Double elimination. It is do or die though. And here's a look at the bracket. So they play tonight. If they win tonight, they play tomorrow. If they win tomorrow, they play Thursday. So that's what they came here to do. They came here to play some baseball, and that's what they're going to do after last night's loss. So I'm looking forward to watching them. And I think what's really cool too is that, you know, in sports, you want your back against the wall. I think it brings out the best of you, and that's what everyone is that's the mindset. I think, you know, you talked to the coach last night. Yes, it's their first loss of the tournament, and not just their first loss of the tournament, but their entire summer. They have been undefeated up until last night. All the in the state tournament, the regional, they didn't lose. So it's unfamiliar territory, sure, but they're baseball players. They're used to this, and I think they're eager to get back on the field.
And I was watching the morning show today, and I saw you say that in 2001, Apopka lost like in the same kind of space as this loss.
Right.
So it can still happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go back to 2001, it is a bit of a different bracket, the way they have things set up. But the bottom line is Apopka lost against the team from New York, which had Danny Almonte on it. He was not 12 years old, but that's another story for another day. They had to forfeit. Down the line, they had to forfeit. But they lost. They got no hit by Danny Almonte, and they had to come through the losers bracket. And guess what they did? They won the U.S. championship and lost by 1 in the entire World Series championship final. So this can be done, and this team has the talent to do it. And Coach will tell you that as he's watched these games progress, and other teams have fallen into, I don't like to say losers bracket, maybe elimination bracket is a better way to put it, but as teams have entered that elimination bracket, all of a sudden their bats warm up a little bit and they start putting up runs. That's the case for the team from Pennsylvania. They put up 12 runs a couple of days ago, and they only scored 1 run in the first, or zero. No, they got blanked in the first game against the Southwest. So, you know, it just ignites a different part of you, and I think, you know, it takes out that comfort level. Not that any of these kids have a comfort level in front of, you know, thousands and thousands of fans, but I think it channels another thing, and I think these kids are going to be ready for it, and they're baseball players, and they're 12 years old, and you know, we can nitpick them, but we're not going to, because they're just having fun. We're going to go back to the basics here and just play some baseball.
We can't wait to see. So you'll be joining us all afternoon on News 6, I'm sure. So are you going to be with us starting at 4? I hope. It's my favorite part of the show.
I'm sure. I'd be shocked if not. But yeah, we're going to be out there. I don't know how much access we're going to have to the team before the game today. I'll see if coach is willing to maybe talk, maybe have a player join us live or something. But I'm interested to hear from maybe the parents. They're always walking around, and it's hard to sort of plan, because I like to go out there and see the lay of the land, and then run into parents of the Southeast players and just say, hey, let's do an interview. Let's talk about what's going on. Have you talked to your son? Because I think that's another piece of this, and something that I probably should mention again, is that these kids do not stay with their parents when they're at the Little League World Series. They're staying in dorms on site at the complex. So, you know, they're with each other. They can pick each other up. They're not getting a talking to from dad or mom in the hotel room. And so, you know, that's another piece of this, and what makes this tournament just uber special.
Yeah. I'm not sure I realize, I mean, I'm sure I did realize that, but staying in dorms, I'm just thinking 12 years old, not being with your family, you know, responsible for getting yourself up, getting yourself to bed. I know they're not driving themselves to practice and all that, but that's a lot for a 12-year-old. 12 is so young. So that's pretty cool. This is a big growing experience.
Some of these kids are 11.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
I mean, there's the first baseman's a fifth grader. He's a rising fifth grader.
Oh
So
my gosh.
you just have to, when you're watching, I know we have such high hopes for this team, but as we're watching this, it's like they're 12.
A
Some of them
rising
are in
fifth
fifth
grader.
grade. Like, it's just so cool that they're here to begin with.
No,
So
it's
we want them to
awesome.
win, but it's
Yeah.
cool to be here.
Yeah, it's just fun to see them and fun to see like they're open on ESPN and fun to see all the cool stuff they got to shoot. That's just like what an experience. And we're so proud of them. They're doing so great and we can't wait to watch them tonight and see what you have for us coming up later today on News 6.
I'll see you there.
All right, Justin, thank you. Let's get a check of your forecast like we always like to do this time of day. We're actually seeing some showers and some thunderstorms that started pretty early today. Here's how the radar looks for us right now. Again, we're seeing some pockets of heavy rain from Leesburg down through Astatoula, Claremont, back down toward the Four Corners area. And this is all out ahead of a cold front. That front, unfortunately, though, is not going to pass all the way through. That is going to continue kind of hovering around Central Florida. And that's keeping our rain chances elevated at 60% for today. And it goes up to 70% for Thursday and for Friday. Going in now looking at Oak Ridge, Taft, Buenaventura Lakes, Kissimmee, Campbell, all seeing around 2 to 3 inches of rain falling per hour and some of those heavier showers. As you look at the lightning strikes, again, we've got about 21 lightning strikes in that particular shot over the last radar scan. Here's a look at our clouds and rain forecast as we roll you through the afternoon. Again, these showers are going to hang around. They're going to move from west to east. We have strong winds coming out of the west and southwest, again, because that front is staying to our north, and that's going to keep the atmosphere aggravated enough to keep those rain chances around. Here's a wider look out. Again, that front kind of sitting across North Florida right now. It's not going to be able to make a whole lot of forward progress. It'll meander a little bit, and notice by tomorrow late afternoon it stalls out. And check out the area of low pressure developing along it. Now remember, with low pressure, we have that counterclockwise circulation, so that's just going to act as a big moisture pump, sending all that Gulf moisture into our area, fueling showers and thunderstorms, looking like some pretty heavy rain, especially during the day on Thursday and even into Friday as well. Right now, we are sitting at 78 in Leesburg and Claremont. That's because you have some of that rain-cooled air in place. It's 93 in Sanford, 92 in Melbourne, and Palm Coast, you're at 91 degrees. Factor in the relative humidity. Look at the Villages. It feels like 109 right now. It feels like 104 degrees in Daytona Beach. Here's how it looks for you as we take you through the rest of our afternoon. We'll see a high of 94 today. Again, our rain chances are at 60%, so a steamy, stormy day for you. Taking you through the next 7 days. Again, we are watching for Lake Mary playing tonight at 7 o'clock, and then Wednesday 60% chance of showers. We bump that up to 70% for Thursday and for Friday, and that's where we leave it as we head into the weekend. We'll talk much more about your forecast coming up on News 6 at 4. We'll check back in with Justin. Of course, have your primary election day coverage with you on air and online. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you have any questions or comments for us here at Take 6, head to clickorlando.com/take6. Let us know what's on your mind, and I'll see you at 4.